What page 29?
429.
429.
It is.
15 seconds. I've been counting it off. Good afternoon, everyone. It is 4:30 PM, Monday, May 11th. We'll now call this meeting of the Board of Harbor Commissioners, for the Town of LaPointe to order. With us today, we have Mary Ross,
Here.
Joseph Wills. Here. Susan Whitmar,
Here.
Michael Collins. Here. Evan Erickson.
Here.
I am present, as is Glenn Carlson.
Here.
Staff present, Katie Kisner, and numerous members of the public. Cal is here with us on Zoom. I always forget to look up at that screen. First up on the agenda is public comment. Ed was first.
I'm not going to give public comment here. Is there a step way of doing it?
You're free to speak. This first round is limited to 1 minute in length, and if you have a long public comment, we would.
I'll try to be good. I'm here because I understand that it's getting close to time when you start negotiating a new contract for the operation of Ferry Line. And I would like to put my 2 cents in as a taxpayer, that I think that the town should run the ferry. And there's a couple of reasons. I'm sure there'd probably be some budget savings if the town did it. This town is certainly capable of doing it. But I think the big thing is that I'd like to see, and this is something that goes back to when the town was first considering purchasing the ferry line. I thought it'd be a great thing to have the ferry line employees be town employees, because that would enable them to join the Wisconsin retirement system. And it'd be a great benefit for retention of employees and even for recruiting employees. As you may know, the Wisconsin retirement system provides the health insurance and a retirement benefit for the town employees today. And I can speak from my experience as a state employee that it was a great thing. I worked for the Madeline Island Museum, and I can tell you that my pay was not up to the standards of the community. I was doing work that members of the community got paid a lot more for. But I was in the Wisconsin retirement system, and so my health insurance and my retirement benefit were covered to some extent, mostly covered by being in that system. So that's my comment. That keep those things in mind when it comes time to negotiate. That it would be a great benefit for your employees for recruitment and retention if they could be part of the Wisconsin retirement system. And I believe the only way they can do that is if they were town employees. I'm not sure how it works being a commission that you are, whether you would actually be their bosses. But I'm sure that can be made part and parcel of being in the retirement system. I know that school boards, sanitary district, towns, counties, they're all eligible for joining the Wisconsin retirement system. And that's my comment.
Thanks, Red. Paul?
Number one, thanks for having another, late afternoon meeting the public can actually attend. Number two, regarding this finance task force, please note that as a governing board, it's a governing body, there are limits as to what you can invest the money in, as outlined in state statutes, which I will gladly give you a copy. Not that they go hog wild and start investing in anything too exotic, like auto derivatives, Chinese labor camps, Pakistani bonds, or anything like that. There are limits, which should narrow the parameters quite a bit. Feel free to pass it along.
Thanks, Paul. Anyone else have any public comment? If not, let's move on to the minutes of the April 23rd meeting.
I have a question here for that part of the meeting, but it says nothing about signing the contract for Miffle LLC provided an invoice for painting of the herring shed, but they report that the contract has been signed in their monthly report.
We don't sign that. I think Miffle was signing.
But don't they need? No, because it was under 25 grand.
Yeah, yep.
We approved it not to exceed, I forget the exact amount, but
20,000.
So they hit it on. Never mind.
Accept.
no one is.
No.
I'll move to accept the minutes of the 4/3/26.
I'll second.
I just have one quick question, clarification, like under number 6, we have 5 ayes and 2 absent. Was it 2 absent or did someone abstain? I can't.
We did that.
I had not.
Mary was not here yet.
Good catch, President. I just wanted to make sure it was accurate because they don't all say that. Our leader. There's no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining.
I am as well.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have the Chief Administrative Officer report.
The current balance of the Harbor Commission bank account is as of Friday, May 8th. The nickel utility checking account is at $200,602.64. The April revenue, which was, once again, it now does include a large useful that nickel received, was at $203,104.46. That was 108% of the budgeted income for the month of April. Just to give an update, the June 1st NAN interest payments have been transferred to the savings account, so they're just sitting there until it's time to pay those. I was hoping to have some update for the middle road structure removals, but I haven't heard back from Pete yet. But just know I did reach out to Pete to see if he had some recommendations for the Harbor Commission as far as removal of the other buildings that are on that property. Cal has been talking back and forth with Gary from Big Top. Looks like Big Top has confirmed 2 trips already for the summer on both June 14th and September 10th. So there will be an 11 o'clock boat to the island on both of those days. I know there were a few other dates that they were looking into as well, but June 14th and September 10th.
Do we have the artists?
Ray, somebody.
Oh, Anastasio from
Yeah,
Fish, probably.
it's, June 14th, and I'm not sure who's that.
And Big Top is paying for that trip?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Pick up then, wow.
That's good. Good news.
At least Cal, I'm assuming they're paying. I gave Gary the price for it.
Yes, as of right now, that is the understanding, is they're paying the full rate for those trips.
Okay.
Just to go back to number 4, I know that we had sent the letter to Michael Brenna and Sue, asking that they remove their personal belongings from the Middle Road property. And I know that they have been actively doing so, but I don't know if they've gotten everything out of there yet.
In our original letter.
End of May.
And also I have the May. reports.
April.
The April reports.
I do with a ridership for the children. That's got to include the school kids. I highly doubt we held 207 school group children in April. Except if they were LaPointe school residents, LaPointe kids.
I'll let Cal answer, but I'm going to assume that those are the island school kids, the free passage maybe. And it's just a difference in reporting that makes up that big difference, 524% increase.
Yeah, that's the way that I understand it right now. I can get a breakdown on that to the Harbor Commission in the coming week here.
It should be just paying children, not the LaPointe school or Bayfield
That's right.
school.
Well, they do.
They do pay.
Okay.
a reduced rate.
But they were never included, well,
Yeah.
in the old log sheet, they weren't included in that line item.
That would explain the increase.
It does make sense to split them out. And maybe we need to know both of those numbers regardless.
Could have been a field trip.
Probably.
Oh, I was gonna ask Cal, so a certificate of documentation. So they're definitely assuring that the expired ones aren't going to affect our operational status. I mean, I guess if they're not funded, they can't stop us.
So, I mean, there's a lot to that. The local guys were made aware long before they expired in the first place. So we have a long paper trail of saying, we've tried to get them paid. We want to get them paid. We've paid the ones that we can pay. We were unable to pay them at this time. We documented that. We called them, emailed them, and then of course now those boats are going into service here. I was hoping that this would be resolved by now. Of course, it's not. So I reached out for the third time. I've left voicemails and emails, or not voicemails, but emails with the COD office. So the local guys are not the enforcement authority on it, but they're aware of it, and they're the ones that audit our vessels. They have given emails saying it's not a problem. They understand the situation. So there's they have said though, however, if we were to somehow get pulled over, potentially by the DNR, we'd have to explain the same thing to them, because it is just sort of like your state registration. But again, there's nothing we can do about it other than all the efforts that we've already undertook to do it. We don't know why that's the case. And again, we can't get an answer to that. The local Coast Guard has opened every file that they can to review it, but they can't see what the COD office can see. So I've got emails from our sector saying we're good. That's the best that we can operate on right now.
And then the rehosing the LaPointe in May, the boat's currently operating. Are you planning on shutting that down and running the payfield to swap hoses? Or is that like an after end of day operation?
As of right now, because of the critical nature of the LaPointe, we're just doing it at night. We're doing during an oil change, we'll swap out a hose, swap out another hose. We're just doing it a part at a time, just because we do need that boat online. Currently, there is no plan to offline the vessel for a significant period of time. We have gotten all of its work done, anticipate it, being in service full time until a fall layup for service.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I just have one quick question. There's no mention of it in the report, but do you have a timeline for the dredging? Now that the contract has been awarded?
So we have accepted the bid. I have a contract being made right now. Cooper is getting that put together. I should have that, I would assume, probably by tomorrow. I'm going to take that over to Nelson Construction. I'm going to make sure that they don't see any major issues with that. Once they've signed the contract, I'm going to give that contract to the town. That has not delayed anything. I just want to prepare you. You're going to see that they've gone ahead and already ordered the piling. I wouldn't expect this to be completed. The date that we have set is before the end of June. So as of right now, that's the window is we gave in the bid to have this done before the end of June. So I don't have a tentative date as of right now when he's going to start digging, but that's our window per the bid.
And speaking of contracts, when is Distinctive Painting going to start on the herring shed?
So that's a kind of a lengthy discussion there in itself, and I'll try to summarize it. So I waited to notify the Harbor Commission before signing the contract, because I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of it just before I signed anything. That delay did cause some issues, and Distinctive Painting, I sent them the signature a few weeks ago. They have now said, or a week ago or so, they said they now believe they may not be able to get it done. That the delays from last year have affected their confidence in us. It's it's kind of a left field, unexpected sort of turn of events. So we've already started getting bids together again to start that project, potentially with another contractor, because they now, as of I believe I got that email on Saturday, are saying they may not be able to get to it this year. So I don't have a great answer on that at the moment.
Do we have a motion for approval of the?
I was about to. I'll move that we place the CAO's report on file.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, Town of LaPointe Harbor Commission Memorandum of Expectations. So the Harbor Commission and the task force, not task force, but our steering committee, been working with MIPL just to clarify points in the existing contract and make sure that both parties are aware of what our expectations are, what their expectations are, and we have drafted a document. I believe all parties are in favor of.
I would, yeah, I mean, this is a unilateral, expression of our expectations. We have been fortunate that Cal has been helpful with us in sort of refining where there's some operational issues. One being the only change really from the last thing that the Harbor Commission saw was on the transfer of the USPS and parcel delivery contracts. And it just may be that because of the nature of these agreements that we won't be able to make the change until after those contracts come up for renewal. So that is the only thing that has been modified since the last time
They usually are renewed in April.
I don't know if this is a multi-year agreement. It sounded like it was a multi-year, at least with the post office.
The post office, I think, is a 5-year.
I think
Yes,
the biggest one was probably the post office and probably the most complicated to transfer. So I'd like to move that we adopt this memorandum of expectations.
I'll second that.
Again, thanks to Jay and Matt, Katie, for working on this, and also Cal. So I think we are in alignment on expectations.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Next up, revenue bond covenant update.
I'll cover that. Zach, so I think everyone remembered from the last time we talked about this, that the revenue bond debt covenant was incorrectly drafted by the law firm that drafted the bond issues. And instead of having the revenue bond need to have operating income of 2.5 times the revenue bond debt service, the requirement was 2.5 times the entire debt of the town on an annual basis, everything, including the stuff that we're already levying tax to pay, the town's normal debts. It turns out that under that ratio, under that definition, our ratio dropped to 1.39. And so Old National's initial response was, okay, how about we just lower it to 1.2? And we said, no, how about we redraft it so that the 2.5 relates just to the revenue bond debt service. And they agreed. And it turns out that our ratio of coverage of the revenue bond debt service from the net income of the ferry is 4.3 times. So we are covering the debt from the operations 4.3 times on the revenue side. So I don't know that we need to take any action. They did come back with exactly what we had thought we had agreed to back in 2024.
Very good. And so this letter of exception is through the term of the loan?
Yeah, it changed the terms of that provision to be just the revenue and the other non-general obligation debt.
Great, thank you. Action, any other discussion there? Let's jump into number 8 then, employee mag card recharge.
So this is something that I've been working on for a while. It really was not practical until recently when Cal agreed that for this kind of an arrangement, they could process this kind of thing on a monthly basis without people having to put $240 or $150 at a time on their MAG card. So basically what this will now provide, which is, I think, a terrific benefit for all employees of the town, and that includes EMS, paid volunteers, if you're paid by the town, election judges, you can do this, which is to allocate up to $340 a month from your gross wages to be put on your ferry card, your personal ferry card instead. And by doing that, you avoid paying federal and state income tax on that amount, as well as FICA. So that basically, if you reduce your gross pay by $100, let's say for a paycheck, and you have that put on your ferry card, your net pay would only go down by $75. Okay, so you get $100 on your ferry card for basically $75 of net pay. The town would also obviously save the employer's share of FICA on it, which isn't going to amount to it a lot, but there may be some small administrative costs for the town to adopt this. But again, the thing that Cal and Miffle have agreed to is that we could have recharges of once a month recharge. So, let's say you get paid twice a month and you want to do $50 each paycheck. So first paycheck, the town will hold the $50. Second paycheck, they'll send over a list of people for the month with their amount of deferral over to the ferry and total it up. It'll be X hundred or X $1,000 once a month. Cut one check to the ferry line with a list of the employees' names and their card numbers. Has to be their personal card, and the amount for each one. But the amount for each one per month can be as low as $50 a month of deferrals. And so the minimum is $50 a month to defer. The maximum is $340 a month. And so to do this, and Cal pointed out, we need to change the tariff because the tariff right now does say 150 or 240 are the minimums to recharge. And so we drafted a very specific provision for the tariff, and I don't have it right in front of me.
Sorry, from very left.
Okay, so the language would be this is employer mag card recharge section, IRC section 132F, which is the Internal Revenue Code. Madeline Island Ferry Line will permit reduced minimum recharge amounts for MAG NFC cards when funds are provided through an employer-sponsored Transportation Benefit Program under Section 132F of the Internal Revenue Code. For such programs, the minimum recharge per participant shall be $50. The employer shall remit a single monthly payment of at least $500 to MIFL for all participants. Payment must be accompanied by a list showing employee name, MAG card number, and amount to be applied. Funds will be applied to the listed cards upon receipt. And one of the questions I think that came up as well, is this opening, an opportunity for all employers on the island to do this. And the way the tax law is structured, it doesn't make sense for any employers that pay tax, because employers that pay tax will lose the tax deduction on those wages. The town doesn't pay tax, so we don't care about losing a tax deduction for wages. And so, it could apply also, I suppose, to the sanitary district or St. John's or other entities that don't pay tax, but the town is basically the largest of them. And so this is, I think, going to potentially benefit. I was told we have 85 people on the town payroll altogether, including everyone that gets a check during the year. So hopefully that'll be something that will be meaningful to people.
Is the Yacht Club nonprofit?
They're for profit.
No, they're-
They are for profit?
So I'll move that we adopt the, I guess part, we should just wait for
For
the
the next,
next item. It's on the tariff. Are there any questions anyone has about this?
Oh, it's great. We could talk about it either now or when we move on to the next one, but how locked in are we to the $500?
That was actually, I threw that out there. I think that it would be, probably easiest if we had it set at something over what the normal recharge limit was. But, it could be 250. It could be 300 or 400. It could be more if we wanted to, but I think, 500. I was sure that for the town
That would work.
that we're going to get 500 a month in people doing this. And I'm seeing people shaking their heads, yes. So, if the sanitary district or the church or, someone else that doesn't have that, I'm going to guess we could set it at 250 or 300.
I think Cal may have something to say on that.
I would definitely be in favor of the 500, just so that if there are other, takers, that it doesn't become, because having that minimum per person very low could mean that there could be takers with a very just one person low minimum. So our stance that the 500 is for us is a great number. And I think it reduces our workload if we keep it at, that side of the number at a higher range as well. But I understand there's a lot of variables. We would just be, I think 500 is a good number on our end.
We could start with 500, and then if there are other, if the sanitary district or St. John's or, another employer, I guess, we could look at it and possibly change the tariff.
There are other ways to get there. We could have each individual entity could have their own withholding system and wait till we hit the minimum of 240.
True.
Whatever the case may be.
That might be an easier way to do it.
I guess with that, let's move on to considering approval of the 2026 tariff number 5.
I'll make a motion to approve and send the 2026 tariff number 5 to the Railroad Commission.
I'll second. Mary gets it.
Is there any
It
discussion?
just has to go to the town board, which is on the agenda for tomorrow's town board meeting.
Okay.
So we can send it in Wednesday.
So the motion should be a
Send to town board.
recommendation.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up on the agenda is appoint new member of Long-Term Finance Task Force. And I will move that we appoint Leon Steinberg
I'll second, and with just a comment. In public comment, it was mentioned that, you know, there are only certain things that the town can invest in, which is absolutely true. This isn't about investment. This is about our long-term debt. And structuring our long-term debt in a way that is most advantageous for us. As you know, we all know that when we were in the process of putting the transaction together, we didn't necessarily have all of the knowledge that we've learned from the past 2 years, plus what other people might offer, to really take a good in-depth look at that long-term debt and see if there's some way to, restructure it, refinance it, maybe not now, maybe, when interest rates are lower, but we've got some really great folks on this task force right now. And with Leon's addition, he's a bond expert, bond attorney from way back. And so
Have they met yet?
Yes.
yeah. And Susie's on the task force.
Yeah, we have
as
a
well.
meeting tomorrow at 10 at the EMS.
And I think Leon's going to join them at that point.
If I remember right, Leon originally applied to be on the commission, but he wasn't a resident
Didn't
long.
qualify.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember seeing his application. So
Pretty
impressed by
impressive.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not. Yeah. So it's Susie, Mike Childers, Leon Steinberg, Ken Goldfein, and Tom Frederick are the 5 members of that task force. So we are looking forward to good things.
So we had a motion and a second. There is no further discussion. All in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Welcome, Leon. Number 11, discuss Madeline Island Ferry Line employee housing options. Well, the steering committee met with Cal last week. He's having issues with housing for emergency run captains. I'm not sure when, I don't recall when the lease is up at the North End property, but that's become a little problematic. He's currently, I could let Cal explain this, currently utilizing a pub rental, but that will end here very soon. We have made arrangements or given Cal authorization to do a 4 or 5 week, week-to-week lease or rent to a 4-bedroom unit above the Bell Street Tavern, which was available and at a decent rate. We're looking into other long-term options, and I believe I have a house that will suit the needs perfectly. Haven't discussed that with Cal yet, nor set everything in stone with the owner.
And would this be a year-long lease with this potential?
It would be, right,
At least till
at
October.
least until October, yeah, just for the summer.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, the period I think that Cal was, in need of coverage for was basically mid-June to sometime in October. And that he's got an idea for post-October as well as pre-mid-June, but it was this period that was,
High season.
high season. Who wants to rent for, a long term? So thank you to Zach for reaching out to the owner, and it sounds like it might be a very plausible deal.
It had just gotten pretty desperate to where he was looking that he was going to have to find nightly rentals throughout the summer on nights to fill gaps, and that could obviously get really expensive.
And it's all about the emergency at the EMS runs. It's all about the ambulance runs, right? I mean, we, weighing that cost and the speed at which someone could get a boat over here versus the cost and time lag of having someone from the mainland get a mainland boat over here. The feeling was that it just was an unreasonable delay to have that additional time. So
should we look at planning for something on the Middle Road property in the future to make sure we have our?
Yeah, I think that is the long-term, the long-term goal. We just got to bridge this gap in the summer to give the town a little bit of time to figure out how much it wants to invest and where.
But great idea, Evan. We did talk about that at some length as well.
Does this option look promising? You're.
It really does, yeah.
Yeah, great. That's good.
So in the meantime, we're just eating the McFarland property rent
Yes,
because nobody's using it.
I think that's fair. Yes.
Well, it has been utilized.
Oh, no,
I
it
do.
has been utilized.
Yeah, I have somebody in there right now, a deckhand that is utilizing it now until the end of the lease. So it'll have full utilization by a deckhand who's doing. We're starting him off at 4 nights a week on call. He's willing to do up to 7, but we're just trying to ease into it to start off. So it is getting quite a bit of use until the end of the lease.
Sorry for my misspeaking.
Okay.
Are we ready to move on to number 12?
Sure.
Discuss handicap parking for ferry on island.
Is this from the suggestion box?
Yeah, I asked this to be put on the agenda because I read it in the suggestion box and I thought, I think this is probably best a question to ask for Miffle and Cal. But I did agree that that could be a pretty long transit for somebody who has mobility issues from where the handicap spots are to the end of the dock if they're not driving on, which I know there are some people who do that. So I thought the question could be addressed to Cal, like maybe there is a spot at the end of the dock there somewhere where there would be room for a handicap spot.
Yeah, so I'll kind of chime in on this. So we have gone back and forth on that quite extensively on how do we utilize the end of the dock. For years we didn't even allow employees to park down there because it was problematic getting in the way. But then they were taking up spots, up the road, and so there's this constant trade-off. It's the same issue we're having in Bayfield. With spots for employees versus spots for our customers, and we do whatever we can to help reduce the impact on the customer. The couple of ideas, right off the bat, I would be concerned about right at the end of the dock. I'm curious if by the post office, if we could get more handicap parking there. At the end of the dock, space is really at a premium. There's a lot of things going on. We've had a lot of accidents down there, and I'm just a bit concerned about what would that look like as far as a car being parked down there long term. What's the limit on it? How long could they be there for? If they are in the way of operations, how do we deal with that problem? So for me, the post office seems as the kind of that better solution, just because we're already dealing with spacing issues. And movement of vehicles that are down there already in the way of operations. One alternative idea that comes to mind as well. I know this isn't parking, but is if we had a like a golf cart like vehicle that would allow our deckhands or ticket sellers potentially in certain situations to move people that need that transportation to be able to take them to a parking spot. It would be beneficial to us as well, just for moving packages up and down the dock. I think that would be just a pretty huge win across the board. And then if we could utilize it, for people that have a difficult time making that distance, I think that could potentially be a great solution that helps not only for handicap, for space congestion, but also for delivering of packages and parcels and crew potentially as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there as an idea.
Great idea.
Yeah, I like that idea. I don't think it's a matter that there's not handicap parking at the post office. There is, I believe. It's not more. It's just that that's still a very
Still a
long
hike.
Yeah, it's a long
Wow.
hike.
for first.
And we can't have anything at the end of the dock.
Construction.
I get it, and I'm sure that, I understand that there's a lot of issues with putting a permanent spot down there. That's why I was asking. I think the golf cart might be a really great solution for a lot of people. And that could help people who have, issues carrying their groceries and stuff like that too, elderly people and stuff like that. So maybe that's something we can look into.
Definitely the insurance.
Yeah.
And so the ticket seller has to drop what they're doing in order to haul someone to
Yeah,
the end of the dock or from the end of the dock.
Or they could sit in there while they sold tickets and then right before the boat disembarked, drop them off.
Yeah, it might be as available type service.
Yeah, there's the logistics, I'm sure that would have to be figured out.
But it's got real merit to it.
Yeah, it's a great idea, like an airport shuttle.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'm not liking this idea. We had a similar golf cart type shuttle at the University of Minnesota Medical Center that went from the parking area through the tunnel, down the way to the elevator. Huge customer dissatisfier. Hardly ever able to get the page out and in time to get somebody to their appointment. It was a nightmare.
The distance in this case is much, much shorter.
It's shorter. I think that any distance when you're talking about accommodating a handicap holder is, it's gotta be great. And I do think that there is a space on the end of the town dock. I always see a particular employee parking.
That's the Corps of Engineer property and we can't call that our parking spot.
And this ferry employee does.
They can, because we're not calling it a town parking spot.
Right, it would actually require an ordinance to be amended or passed to
Sure.
designate a handicap parking spot down there. And I don't think that the town would have authority over the.
We don't have
portion of
authority
it.
over it. Even when, if I remember right, when the electrical conduit going to the pedestal there at the end of the dock, the town had to talk to the Corps to make sure that it was okay for us to cut concrete right at the line. I don't think there is a handicap spot down, in front of the post office or that line.
I can't.
I don't think there is, so should maybe talk to Pete. I know we're gonna be doing lines again before Memorial Day, so maybe talk to Pete and see if we can throw in a handicap spot in.
And
I think
recognizing.
that needs, maybe you can just add, maybe you can't do paid parking without the ordinance change or changes road speed limit.
I think I think the town board would have to approve additional handicap spots on the town dock.
That's my gut too.
I'd like to see this explored, recognizing your experience with it, but on the face of it, it sounds like it might work.
I think, yeah, and I'd propose that we consider it as part of the budget for 2027.
Yeah, and especially since Cal says they have a lot of other uses for the
Yeah,
cart. Then.
exactly.
Okay.
For this year, should we have Katie talk to Alex about getting a handicap spot ordinance put in place for the next town board meeting?
Well, I think I'd ask Pete first.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and I go through Max, frankly.
Okay.
Good.
Yep. It's a town decision. Sure.
And I just wanted to piggyback on the back of this too, is that we have been trying to identify, some of those handicap issues kind of across our board. And on the Bayfield side, we're filling potholes and putting up hand railings on, that walkway that's coming down from First Street. That's going to be going up here very shortly. Within the week, we're going to start work on that. So, we are doing, what we can to help, with people with disabilities move throughout the ferry.
Great, thank you.
Next up is approval of bills.
Oh, we have Bill.
I will make a motion that we pay the bills in the amount of $287,862.15.
I'll second with a question for Katie. That seems like more than what we have in the utility account.
So that also includes the NAN interest
Yeah.
payment,
Oh, okay,
which
good.
is sitting in
Got
the
it.
savings account right now. I just wanted
Got
to
it.
make sure it
Good.
was.
Great, thank you.
Very good catch.
Yeah.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Future agenda items?
It sounds like the housing,
Mhm.
Yeah, that needs to stay on the agenda.
I'm
Maybe a half update? Yeah. Or just
task force update.
task force update?
Oh, finance task force. Yeah,
Yeah, they called me the,
you're the chair
not that.
or convener, chair/convener. Yeah,
It's like, sounds like a secretary.
no. Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Anything else? Anything you see coming up, Cal, that?
Yeah, one thing, and I was just planning on sending this on an email, but I've got a couple of items. One is I would like to request added to it added to this year's budget, but AEDs. It's been a big concern, and we'd like to get, we've got pricing and everything set up. I'm going to send that to the Harbor Commission, a package, pricing and plan for that. So if you've thought it'd be a good idea to add that to the next meeting. And then the only other thing that might be worth adding to the next meeting is we have been working on quantifying trips. I know I talked about this, I think is last fall or this winter, but all of the trips that we've canceled or delayed, we've worked to quantify that. And by the next Harbor Commission meeting, we should have a full report as far as historically going back. We went back 9 years for every canceled trip and warnings and messages. And then we're also accompanying that going to have a kind of a write-up as to how do we determine a canceled trip, or how do we take that process? How does that work? And so I'll have that, ready for your review for the next Harbor Commission meeting, but it might be a good idea for, me to potentially introduce that, explain a couple of points on that to the Harbor Commission, and to the public as well.
Sounds like good fodder for the Gazette. Yeah. Okay. Anything else on that? It's mind for me. When do we? 28th,
That looks
Thursday,
good.
the 28th.
9 o'clock or 9 o'clock, are we doing?
9 o'clock is what we have historically done.
9:30, Mary.
The 28th? The 28th, yes. Okay. If that works for everyone.
Works for me.
I'm not sure. But I'll certainly call in.
Oh, great.
I'll open the floor again to public comment. Public comment. Let's move on then to agenda item number 17, Town of LaPointe Harbor Commission and Bayfield Harbor Commission MOU.
I'll move that we go into closed session to discuss the MOU possibility with the Bayfield Harbor Commission under 19.851E. which is conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session. If we go into closed session, we'll reconvene an open session before adjourning. And I guess it will also cover the review of the Mifflin management contract under item 18.
I will second that and do the roll call vote. Mary Doss,
Aye.
Joseph Wiltz. Aye. Excuse me, Susie Widmar,
Yes.
Michael Collins,
Yes.
Evan Erickson.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Glenn Carlson.
Yes.
Going into closed session, 5:19. Oh, go ahead.